Hey,
We're all losers.
That. We're all losers. Game 1, fans back in the Garden. And it
Fans got
could have been ugly
tonight.
Could have been uglier. This could have been a boom off the court first game back for the Celtics if it went the way it was going. 15-0. I mean,
what did you like that?
I mean, and then 15-0 run makes it respectable. This is like the flip side of that first New Orleans game where they played really well for 3.5 quarters, 3+ quarters, lose by blow the 24-point lead, and you're like, well, should we commend them for playing their best 3 quarters of basketball this season or the collapse? And this game really got away from them fast. They completely stopped playing in the third quarter, big deficit, and then they make that run late, so you feel a little better about it. So I don't know which one it is. So you guys start here, and then obviously we have possibly one of the worst debuts in Boston sports history tonight. We'll get into it in a little bit. I don't know how else you're going to put it.
Wasn't quite the Isaiah debut.
you can't have a worse stat line than Fournier had tonight.
It's funny Bobby says that because Isaiah got ejected in LA that game. You remember that?
Yeah.
Like, I love the story. I forget who had it, but I love the story of him telling one of the PR guys, like, man, I don't know. Celtics fans are going to think I'm some sort of loose cannon. They're like, are you kidding me? Boston's going to love that. They love to get ejected against the Lakers. So, and I would take the ejection over this for sure.
Marcus Smart tried to play that card tonight, but it's not going to work.
No,
man. What was that?
So it was bad. So let's go around the horn. Just overall thoughts on tonight. What's the game story in your opinion?
Well, I'm not worried about Fournier. He didn't look too involved and didn't get on the ball a ton. It was Smart. Smart was absolutely horrific. As bad as you can be. Yeah. This is one of his worst games ever. And you saw after he pulled the half-court heave that the team just imploded. I mean, everybody was like, what was that? And then all of a sudden they're watching Zion fly by them. Ingram's getting to the free throw line 12 times. And their defense just reached a new low. It wasn't great to start the game, but after that, it just completely opened up because I think the whole team was like, what just happened? And then they were down by 13.
I swear I'm not doing this to be a contrarian, Bobby, because I thought Smart was brutal all game. However, that comeback in large part had to do with putting him on Zion. And that made a big difference because nobody else was able to keep Zion in front of him, whatever they tried. And then Smart got that, got the offensive foul, got a couple things rolling and made it harder for him where he had to work. That matchup, that paid off. So he definitely atoned for it a little bit late, but you're right. It was someone else tweeted that too. After that weird half-court heave, it was just, it was a weird Marcus game for sure.
Yeah, things got weird after that for sure. Yeah, I mean that's an interesting part to point out in this game. But I think the part where things started to turn for the worse for the Celtics was when Tatum got that flagrant foul against Brandon Ingram. Now I don't know if this is a rivalry that started the last time these two played each other, but there was something going on between those two, and it was good for Tatum, right? It was good for Tatum in that first quarter, in that first half, and overall because he was certainly terrific, and he was superstar Tatum, the one we've been talking about the last couple of games or so. But I thought when that happened, when him and Ingram went through that, Ingram just focused, and no one could stay in front of him. And the same thing, of course, went for Zion. The Pelicans, they averaged coming into this game, they averaged 11 3-pointers, and these guys nearly hit 11 by halftime. And I'm thinking, okay, well, they're not going to keep hitting threes all night. So the Celtics, this should work in their favor in the second half. But then Zion and Brandon Ingram, the Celtics didn't have a response for him or at least a way to slow those two down. And when they try to respond on the opposite end, some of those shots look good. A lot of the plays, the execution was well. But, I should say the setup was well, but the execution just fell short. And it just kept happening over and over again throughout that second half until the big run in the fourth quarter where, of course, they pulled to within – 2 and that was it. Again, Ingram and Zion. These two.
Yeah, I think Josue was. I tend to agree with Josue. I think that you got New Orleans on a night where they couldn't miss a lot of shots that maybe typically they do. 50% from the field, 50% from three. It's tough to beat that. I didn't think the Celtics played awful. I don't think anyone's going to say.
Yeah, they're really good offense.
They had a really bad night or anything.
Right.
Right. I love the way Tatum came out. Nobody can expect him to sustain that, but I thought he quieted down a little bit in the middle of that game there, and then he got hot again in the fourth or late in the fourth. You'd like to see it a little bit more consistent, but I'm not going to sit here and criticize Tatum for dropping 34 points or whatever it was. But again, it was no Jaylen Brown tonight hurt them. I didn't think they had a player that really stepped up. We already talked about Marcus Smart not really stepping into that role. Kemba had an okay night. 23 points. You're not gonna expect to get too much more out of him points wise, I guess, on a nightly basis. But there wasn't that third guy. I know we're going to talk about him, but this would have been a perfect situation for Fournier to step in,
to do something,
and just complete goose egg. Classic new guy move. You show up to the job first day and you do absolutely nothing. You set the bar very low. You don't want to go in and start doing everything because now that's what they're expecting out of you every night. So we've all been at the new job. You don't want to do little to the point where they just might can you, which is Fournier's bordering on with the performance that he had. But you want to do the bare minimum on your first day. So shout out to Fournier, new guy move. Hopefully he can pick it up a little bit. But yeah, like John mentioned, one of the worst debuts that I can remember, certainly in recent history.
I'm trying to think of one to go this horribly. Because you know what? What's funny is realistically, he had to do. It wasn't like a controversial move. I think people are like, "Oh, cool, some help. I can't wait to see what this guy does." He had to do so little to feel good about it, and now he's put
little.
He put a bullseye on his back now because everyone's like, "What?"
A lot of water cooler talk tomorrow.
Right.
Water cooler talk tomorrow.
Because new guy. Let's be real.
I think Luke Cornett it was just too much pressure, guys. Listen, 10 points in 8 minutes. How do you follow that after you were already ice cold to start the game?
But let's be real. For most people, if you watch a lot of NBA, you've seen Evan Fournier play. You're somewhat familiar with his game. If you're if you're a casual, but even still, Jimmy's like, I've never seen a highlight of him.
I stand by that.
You've heard the name, you've seen him a few times. You're like, oh yeah, he's that guy who plays for whatever. Yeah, I know him.
Jimmy, you looked up the Aaron Gordon highlights, but you didn't look up Fournier highlights.
Yeah, but no joke. Not yet. But for most people, this is like literally their introduction to him. They don't have a clue what. You see stats, you see numbers. That's about it. You don't know anything. So you're literally seeing what this guy can do for the first time. And there's a lot of people who are going to be like, "Wait, what? Like that's it?"
I don't think Danny's going to have a problem re-signing this guy.
Right. Can't wait.
You got the extension done tonight.
Can't wait to give this guy 480 in the offseason.
Yeah.
That was the worst version of Fournier we saw.
Oh man.
Yeah, I hope so. 0 for 10. I can't believe there's a worse version, but I guess we'll find out. But and like John said, before he came on, that run they had at the end of the game, dampened the plus minus because it was much worse.
Yeah, it was minus 24 before he came in on that last stretch there, minus 23.
He might have been able to tie the game too if he didn't lean into that 3 or deep 2, whatever that was in the final minute or two there. That was the issue with him tonight too. He not only wasn't hitting a shot, but he wasn't keeping the ball moving either. He got like one short roll past the Tatum in the corner for an open look, but other than that, he was just largely uninvolved. I thought he wasn't on the ball nearly enough, which is where he makes his plays. And
some clever stuff here. Evan the Terrible and much debut about nothing. I like that. I like it.
See, that's something that John would put on the lower third.
That's one of mine.
Debut about nothing.
That's a classic Xanax Capitano banner, right?
Got to play on Wally's album, maybe.
Oh, I love that. We got an educated Shakespearean audience tonight. But yeah, that was tough.
That was a
man.
dud. No way around it. Like I said, you had no Brown tonight, so you would think that he gets a little bit more space, a little bit more authority to play his game a little bit. He's not worried about I got to get to this guy, got to get to that guy. I want to take a step back, but I don't know.
Bad misses by him, bad misses by Smart.
Fair point here, DJ.
Bad misses by both of them just powered the Pelicans transition attack too.
I'm leaving that alone.
Yeah, how did we forget that?
That's true.
Fair point.
It doesn't get worse than that, right?
That doesn't get worse than that. Fournier had me longing for. What's that, Jimmy?
He tried to come close.
He tried.
With facts.
Fournier had me longing for Nesmith minutes.
Ooh.
I know.
I was fiending for some Nickeil Alexander-Walker. That was my guy in last year's draft, and Romeo Langford still. He's out there shooting. He's out there doing his warm-ups, but he can't play yet. And
well, he was cleared, right?
Goes. Yeah, he was cleared, but he's not physically ready, conditioning wise, and all that stuff. I guess
that this is gonna really suck now. Is watching this guy who can barely play himself into shape. Like at this point,
Steven said today he's gonna barely play.
This is going to suck because the worst thing in the world, off of the wrist, you can still be in decent cardiovascular shape, and then you get into game shape by playing. But now he's basically done nothing for 4 weeks, which is a disaster.
A lot of people tweeting me saying that it might have been a hologram and that these holograms are getting out of control. And I actually, I want to hear him speak, maybe a little media availability to really further. Although holograms can talk now too, so yeah, I guess until we see him actually on the court during a game. But John, I said this like we can't even criticize this guy right now because he's recovering from COVID, so we don't even know.
I know.
We're gonna get
line now.
By the time he gets back into the rotation, it's gonna be like
criticize him for sucking because
he has no time.
Yeah, he has no chance.
He has no time. It's a complete bust again. It's so frustrating. He's if he works his way in and he barely plays for the first, because now you got game. So he's gonna the next 10 games not really be involved in all and start to work his way into the rotation in the final 10 when they're fighting for a playoff spot or seeding and then into the playoffs. It's gone. The whole season's gone again, which is crazy. I mean, he looked winded in that stupid clip that we saw running around with the trainers.
I'm just going to assume that was like the second hour of that workout. That's what I'm going to say.
He looked terrible.
It was the end. He was out there since 1.
I'm like, look, just go into the season and pretend like he's never coming back because whatever you get for him is going to be a bonus at the end of the day. I mean, I don't see how you can incorporate him, when he's this far behind and the playoffs is just around the corner. I mean, yeah, the Celtics have this great homestand, 7-game homestand. Actually, I want to. They're playing about what is it, like 14 of the last 19 games or so at home. So it's in his favor. But again, when you're this far behind and there's not that many games left, I mean, this season's gonna wind down quicker than we think.
They might have to send him, Neesmith, Taco, and Draymond up to Maine for 2-on-2 action because that's the only way they're gonna get any run into this postseason push here.
Really?
And Neesmith got it again tonight. That was one of their worst stretches of the game when that unit was out there.
Poor Neesmith.
Yeah, it's just not happening for the lower tier youth.
Each other the same thing. Like, what is happening in Neesmith's head, literally and figuratively?
What a goofy guy.
Yeah, he's just all over the place. Like, he's just like there's like a switch on his back, and he just goes like and just runs all over the place.
And again, it was one of those games where Kira Lewis, who went 1 pick before Neesmith, just rained threes down on them. It's unbelievable how that stuff keeps happening.
I mean, he's like, Joe Sway was all over it. We were texting in the game. Like, what's wrong with this guy's brain? Like, he's just goofy. Like, everything he does is weird. And like, just and even
get a putback and fall on his head.
Then he gets a backdoor layup and lands on his head. How do you land on your head after a layup?
I felt bad for him after that. I mean, he looked like that. That kind of hurt.
He was like, "Oh, I fell on my head again."
Before that, he just the offensive board and they just couldn't control his body. We talked about the two split. It's like his chip is loose or something. Like his chip inside, like he's a robot and it's a little loose or something.
Right. It's like it doesn't connect with everything. We were joking about Taco, how it takes forever to get from the signal from his brain. You really think is like there's a all of his his arms and legs don't necessarily communicate with one another. They just do whatever they want to do.
Delay or something, yeah. Like there's a delay or something. Is that nerve? What is that? Is he nervous out there? Is he triple thinking himself?
And then on the defense where he's just running. Who was he running out of bounds there? Hayes.
Is that what quadruple think? When you quadruple think something over and over, is that what it looks like? Like I don't get it, man. I really don't.
I found it so weird when the refs just refused to call a foul in his benefit. He clearly got fouled, but they called it out of bounds to actually make the right play, but they weren't going to give him a foul there. I mean, that on top of everything else was just weird.
You would just think that, all right, this guy is considered like the best shooter in the draft. You would kind of picture him as like a smooth operator, like somebody who, yeah, seriously.
No, seriously.
I was just gonna say, I haven't followed this guy's.
He's got to be careful.
He should. He should.
He really
Path
should.
to the NBA must have been like the bumpiest, like hazardous path. I can just imagine the bumps and the bruises this guy's taken to get to the NBA. It's amazing that he's even alive today.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable to be honest.
And limited playing time.
Yeah.
Maybe that says a lot about his injuries, the past that he had in college. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah. He like fell down the stairs or something. I don't know.
It's just a guy who doesn't have a place trying to find one.
He's pretty much only played one full season.
Give him
And
this.
again, do you prefer this
him
or the Langford 0-0-0 games? I don't. It's a close call.
It is close to be
It is
honest.
close,
I mean, can he step in and give you 0 for 10 like Fournier?
Can Langford stay in front of someone like maybe not?
What was the
Zion.
plus minus on him tonight, John?
On who?
It couldn't have been good. Neesmith.
Oh, I don't know. I think I've given up on him forever.
Yeah.
He got rid of his graphic for good.
-6. Yeah, it didn't look good.
I don't know if we're gonna talk about PER later, but Neesmith's
Jimmy
PER
loves PER.
is bottom 10 in the NBA, and out of 315 players, he's like 305, probably.
That's what happens when you miss a lot of shots. And his shot still looks so bad, doesn't it?
It does. It's just a hitch. It takes forever to unload it.
It somehow looked worse than Fournier's shots. Somehow.
I mean, it's too bad. Like he really needs to go to Maine and score like 30 points.
And again,
he just needs to do it so badly.
We keep saying it. If they just could have had a game or two where he started and played 35 minutes and they were like, just shoot. We don't care. We do not expect to win tonight. Go and play this like it's a Vegas League game. You get the ball, shoot the ball. I do not give a crap. Like, I'm not going to pull you the second you make a mistake. Just go. You know,
he never gets the ball.
Smith needs to go play pickup games at the Y in Brighton, man. Like some of those guys over there, they got like D3 athletes. I don't know how it is now with post COVID and everything, but he needs some guys who are just
dominate somebody.
Nothing to lose. Like they have nothing to lose. Just go out there and play with some gritty guys and get your swag back.
Like
I don't know.
Go find the guys that Scal played 1-on-1 and play with them.
Yeah. Actually, don't.
Back up. Like, yeah.
He might lose.
He might lose.
Anyways, we can stop ragging on. We can stop picking on Neesmith. There's got to be somebody else we can pick on tonight that actually had a big
Grant,
effect.
5 fouls, 3 points.
Pretty fun to pick on right now.
He is low hanging fruit. Grant, what you want?
Oh my God!
Talk about Grant.
I got a good stat.
Second full from this game alone. 4 of them at least. Neesmith, Smart, Fournier.
Mo Wagner had a goofy run.
Hold on. Goofy is the key word for this team, huh?
All Celtics.
Yeah,
I got a stat. You guys want a stat? You want a good stat?
Yeah, of course.
Fournier. Okay, we're talking about worst debuts ever. Evan Fournier, Celtics debut, 33 minutes. We have it here, 0-0-0. Most scoreless minutes by a Celtic with 10+ attempts since the 3-point era. It's not even
a debut.
It's the worst game played by a Celtic in history. It's the worst game anyone's ever had.
Well, it really felt like it too. I feel like if he just hit a few shots, they probably would have won.
I mean, that's one of those games where like after you miss 7 in a row, you should probably just sit the rest out. You know what I mean? Like just keep moving the ball.
I thought he was going to get something in the second half. Didn't you feel like after he had 0 at halftime, he was going to come out and hit a few?
No.
It felt like an 0 for 20. Yeah.
I didn't think he would actually take that last shot he took in that late in the fourth quarter. I get it. He had a good look, but considering the circumstances, I mean.
You could tell he was running from shots in the second half. He didn't. He was like, nope. I'm going to give it back to somebody else.
Yeah.
Here's one that's similar to your stat, John. Evan Fournier went 0 for 10 in his Celtics debut. He's the 4th player in the shot clock era since 1955 to go 0 for 10 or worse in their debut with a new team. So we were talking about, I can't think of a worse debut. Literally, this is like an all-time bad debut in basketball.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, can I throw the screen share up here? My prediction didn't play out too well.
Be careful what your browser's showing over there, but. know what you're doing up in your room.
Here's my prediction for the Fournier
Is this
opener.
one of your little worksheet lists that you make?
Yeah.
No, this is a tweet.
Bobby mails it to himself.
This is a tweet. You can't just read it to us.
Fire it up, John.
You want me to fire it up?
Yeah, I don't have the button. There we go. I got the minutes right.
We'll be very active tomorrow. 33 to 35 minutes with 20 to 23 points. Oh, that is such a Bobby prediction.
I know. I thought you were aiming for 7 to 13 until I got to that part.
3 to 4 rebounds and 4 to 5 assists.
Not quite.
Everything is awesome in Bobby Celtics world.
Yeah, that didn't work out.
I got the minutes. 33, right?
You nailed the minutes.
Oh, NBC's showing a montage right now. Yeah. Woof.
2 steals, 2 blocks. Let's give him that.
Yeah, it wasn't like I said at the beginning of the show. It wasn't like he played well and just missed some shots either. He was just so uninvolved.
Exactly. The only thing you remember from him are missed shots. Literally nothing else.
Yeah.
I said it to you guys.
That to an extent. I mean,
couple good back-to-back possessions. They still resulted in Zion buckets on the second putback there, but he played him pretty clean one time and got the little deflection a second time. So there's a couple things, but for the most part, you're right, almost invisible.
And they didn't give him the ball enough. That's what frustrated me. This is a guy that needs the ball in his hands a little bit. Make some plays.
The ball enough?
Yeah. Do you remember him leading the offense all game? I don't even think he got a set.
No,
I mean,
he needs a walkthrough. I mean, this guy just showed up and met the players today.
They gave him the
expecting much.
Yeah, they gave him the Neesmith playbook. Go stand over there.
Yeah,
and in the beginning,
that's not how they should be using him.
In that first quarter, the way he was moving off the ball, he sort of looked like Gordon Hayward out there. Slashing through the middle, getting to the teeth of the defense, and then it was just like, okay, I'm just going to spot up from here on out. And it was
that nice short roll pass to Tatum. It was like, all right, this is how it's going to look. And then
it
didn't look like that for the rest of the night.
This is exactly what I want to see from this guy right now. And that was it. It was 5 minutes.
Once he missed the layup in transition, it was over.
That was halfway in. See, that could have erased this entire historic performance right there if he made that layup. That's all it takes sometimes. If you just see the ball go through the rim, you can make a couple more shots after that.
I'm hoping that we get who was it last year? I'm blanking. Marcus Gasol. You remember how he came back the next game? He got a haircut. He looked completely different. I think Fournier needs to shave the neck beard. Completely new look, new city, new team. Might even want to change the number. 94 is the complete whiff of a number. I don't care if it's where he's from or whatever. I mean, you got to start looking better, feeling better.
Take him up to your barber. Show him around the city.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean?
Take him to the North End, Boston Barbers, get them all lined up. Absolutely. Yeah. And he can bring Cornette with him because God knows he needs to find a stylist in every way possible too.
How did Cornette?
Fournier's got weird hair too, huh?
Yeah.
We all thought Cornette was out the door last week, and now he was the 4th best Celtic tonight.
The 4th? He was the second or third. No, that's second. Yeah.
That's more of an indictment on the Celtics than
that's true.
Else.
Unfortunately, that's true.
I have a question if you guys unless we still want to talk about Fournier.
No, the viewers here are really mad at Smart.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was again. I don't think anybody's indicting Fournier for this. You're right. He just showed up and didn't know anything.
It's not. It's sad.
Smart. It's smart. It was all Smart tonight. He was just such a. Can we talk about the play? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That was worse than JR in the finals. Really, I know it was a 10 times smaller situation.
Yeah,
how could you be on defense 1 second and think the shot clock that's on the clock is your clock? It's just unfathomable.
The refs take 12 minutes to freaking decide the jump ball. I don't know. I'm with you.
But where did his mind go?
I mean,
I was surprised, but I don't know.
What's so funny is I'll kill Smart for so many things that he does. That's just one where it's just brain cramp, which I think everybody has from time to time.
He's so locked in. I could see that. Yeah.
So
it's not one of those, you lost.
He drives me nuts for a million basketball decisions. Yeah, it was just was just dumb.
Well, Kemba was like, yo, that the thing that I didn't like about it was Smart didn't be I didn't look like he was my bad after.
No, he went on and took a 3 after.
Well, I mean, no, immediately after. I mean, I wasn't.
No, he was arguing with Kemba. He was like, no.
Oh, yeah, he was arguing with Kemba about it.
I think he thought he was right. I mean, I don't think it sunk in for a little. So in the immediate aftermath, I think he was making a case. He actually thought he was right, and then probably
that might have been Scal's best call.
I read his mouth when he said they were going to do the same thing, but I think Kemba trying to tell him no, that clock is for them, not for us. Like I think he saw that ball, whoever gets to it first can score, and in less than a second gets the shot. But it's obviously
either that or he thought like once they got it, it was just going to be a shot clock violation, so he just threw it.
Definitely. Yeah, but he was arguing his point. And like I said, people are mad at me for defending Smart. Like, trust me, I'm not a Smart defender. I was just in this particular case, just brain cramp. It happened.
But you know what, though?
They didn't lose the game because of that one play. I don't care if people are tweeting like, oh, the air went out of everybody. Yeah, I don't think they lost because of that. I just don't think he played a great game.
It was a tricky situation because if you were on defense in that spot, you probably would – like the play would stop in that same situation on defense, but I don't think it's the same thing on a jump ball. Like if you got the ball on defense after like an air ball or something, they would have reset the play. But in this situation, like it was a new possession, so the shot clock reset.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I don't know.
It wasn't 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. You know, like that's when you really have to zone in and realize the situation before the tip.
Yeah, it's gonna end up on Shaqtin' a Fool, like one of those stupid things. Like Scal was like, "What are you doing?" I think that's what everybody watching at home was saying, and obviously everyone's pissed at Smart. I thought Smart, he made some other mistakes too. Like in the first half, he had an easy lob to Rob that he missed, and he put up an ugly floater that missed. Like you have Rob like rolling to the rim, just throw it up to him. He will catch it and dunk it in. It's like the easiest 2 points in all of any sport you can think of. It's like the easiest way to get points. And then late in the fourth, he did that like stupid no look behind the back pass that like was not even remotely close to accurate, and that was a turnover. Yeah,
high degree of difficulty shots as well. Even ones that went in, that lefty bank shot on the drive late in the game there where he switched to the left. Really tough shot, but a horrible shot, and one that he's going to miss 80% of the time. This was one of those games where it felt like it's again when he misses all the threes, shoots low percentage, shoots too much, makes a few dumb. He's like it's the worst of the worst of the worst from Smart, and it's magnified in these games. And again, we reached that magic barrier. I think 13 shots is the is that cutoff line for Smart. When he shoots more than 13 times, their record is freaking abysmal.
Yeah, I mean 6 for 15 and 0 for 6 from 3. So streaky from 3. I mean, some nights he goes like 7 of 10, and then tonight he goes 0 for 6. Like. It really is that is the difference in these games. I mean, it's it doesn't take a scientist to realize that the more shots you hit, the better chance you're going to win. But it's just the crazy how streaky he can be with the shooting. I mean, he's unreliable in that sense, and that's why people. I think a lot of people, not just in this room or in this chat, but I think a lot of people were like, they were like okay with the idea of Marcus Smart being traded at the deadline. I think they were kind of. Accepted that there was a possibility and they were going to move on from it, and it didn't happen, but I mean it could still happen in the offseason. I think a lot of people are going to be okay with it.
Well, I'll get Bobby and Josue's opinion because we talked about this on the chat a little bit before the game. I personally had really prepared myself for Marcus Smart no longer being a Celtic, and again I'm a vocal critic, so it's everyone would be like, well, duh, you're not a huge fan to begin with, but I recognize his value. I just think he is a pretty average player that we've vastly overrated, and I was ready to move into a different realm to get a more dynamic player, playmaker, scorer. I was all set for the Aaron Gordon thing, and I was ready to do that deal. And now that he's here, I'm like struggling with it even more because I'd gotten used to the thought of moving on. You're in a really tough spot here, not with Marcus. You missed a chance to trade him, which means now you're almost held hostage, having to re-sign him, possibly to re-sign Fournier, or risk getting nothing in return. And the worst thing you can do in the NBA right now is overpay for the middle class. And the reality is this is what Smart is. He's a middle class player. He's probably a bench player who you're going to have to pay potential premium money to this offseason. And so you had a chance, if you weren't going to go forth with Marcus and give him that deal that he's going to look for in the offseason, to have cut. But according to Ainge, it was never on the table. He's going to be a Celtic forever. So I mean, this is this is smart. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, no, I think they hold him. There's a lot of value there, and I agree with that. I think the Celtics they found him very valuable, and I don't think that what was on the table or the names that were being out there, I don't think they thought that Marcus Smart was worth that, and I just don't was Aaron Gordon the one that's going to make it happen? I mean, that's what the reports are saying, right? I think it was Buck or various reports, but that was the one that seemed like sort of a given, right? Or was it the Kings and Harrison Barnes? I mean, I probably favor Harrison Barnes higher than Aaron Gordon, but I mean, I just don't think realistically the Celtics were willing to pull the trigger for guys like that. I think they can get someone better, or try if that's the case, bring Smart back. And if a year or two comes down the road where they have to move him again, I know it's not ideal, but I just think the Celtics, maybe they do overvalue Marcus Smart too much. Maybe it's Danny, maybe it's Brad Stevens, maybe it's sort of their I don't know, their security blanket, if you will. They feel like this team will completely collapse without him. But I don't know.
I don't believe anyone was actually interested.
I'm not upset with the Celtics trading him because I just don't think it would have been worth what the players are getting in return. I don't think those players would have been game changers or give you anywhere near the same value you get from Marcus Smart on this team. Maybe it's not the same case for other teams. Okay, people can make that argument all they want, and it's fair. Sure, Marcus Smart is valuable on this team. You put him on another team, it's a completely different case. But that's the reason why he's still on this team, because he's very valuable here. And I think Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens.
Is he? That's kind of the existential question.
That's what we're
It feels like he is.
Is he? Is he that valuable?
Yeah,
depends
I think
what you
so,
value.
For now.
Depends what you value.
If you value defense at a high level, absolutely. And this year, the Celtics have been one of the.
At a high level? Who is playing defense at a high level on the Celtics? Really, in the NBA?
Compared to other past Celtics teams in the last 2 or 3 years, this has been the worst. And Marcus hasn't been healthy. He hasn't played a whole lot of it.
Yeah, I don't think you can put it on Smart. Especially look what he did down the stretch against Zion. That possession where he had Zion shooting off the back of the backboard was pretty impressive. The way Zion had been playing tonight.
Name one player who did that on the Celtics tonight against Zion.
Yeah, and they need to make that switch earlier. So that one's on Brad. I was an advocate of trading him for Gordon just because I think at this point Gordon is probably a better defender because of his size and has more upside as a younger player, which I think is a swap you want to make. If you're going to be going a little bit younger here, if you want to, kind of reset the general age or track of this team, I think that one made sense. The problem is you do really lose something, not just from an intangible standpoint, but as a passer. He still really is the guy who gets the ball moving more than anyone else in this offense. You think of the assist percentage. You think of just his level of passing. I know, but you didn't like the raw blob there, but you had a couple others where you actually hit him in this one.
But Bob, let me ask you this: just because he's the best you have, does it mean he's actually good at it?
Yeah, he's extremely good at it.
Yeah, extremely good. If you stack him up against playmaking point guards throughout the NBA,
why does that mean that he's?
I'm saying you put him in the upper level of an extremely good passer among guards. I don't think so. I think he is on this team, but as far as NBA point guards go, he's not in the upper.
Well, that's part of
echelon of distributing guards. That's not his.
That's why you say he's more valuable to you than others.
He is, but it's also the devil sort of thing. You're just used to it here, and you're used to extracting whatever things of value you think he brings you that nobody else in the league possesses. But the reality is there's other guys who are chippy defenders. There's other guys who are decent passers. They don't all make boneheaded plays and shoot 36% from the field. Like I said, there's a balance there. You have to look at the whole picture. You can't just cherry pick some stuff. Look at the deficiencies of this team and say he's the only one who passes. That's fine, but he's not an elite playmaker by any means. He's pretty good, and this team is lacking. Right. So yes, you're right. They need someone to do it, but it could be someone else also. That's the thing. This idea that he's the only one that can do it, I think, is we just
but if you're swapping that out for Barnes, who's a short roll passer, that's about it. Gordon, who could never in a million years lead an offense, as we talked about at the deadline. That's a tough flip to make in terms of what you need now versus the timeline. I know Barnes has 3 years, so maybe that would have made a little more sense, but he wasn't available. So it was ultimately, would you do this for Gordon?
Barnes, I would have really considered it. I would have, but me, I'm high.
If it comes down to Gordon, I think I begrudgingly say yes because I think there's upside there. But it was a ginormous risk to make, and I understand why they didn't do it because it was no sure.
I don't think it was ever on the table.
No, I think it was.
I do not. You don't think it was? John, just on paper, you don't think that that's a better deal? Well, including Neesmith. Let's replace R.J. Hampton with Neesmith. the
never, ever.
What's Marcus Smart's value to the Magic?
I never believed the losing team wanted Marcus Smart. It makes no sense. Wanted a Marcus Smart in a walk year.
So where was his name floating around from? It wasn't Boston.
Yes, it was Boston. It was. Trust me.
Wait, so.
There is no way. It made no sense to me. And then all of a sudden, reports started coming out late from Boston writers about, you'd be surprised how many teams out there are actually interested in Marcus. That was fed, okay? There's no way that didn't originate in Boston, because it's trying to make it seem like, oh, okay, they're trying to drum up his value. Several teams want Smart. Well, maybe I should want me some Smart. I didn't even think about him. There's no way that was real, because as Jimmy said, it makes no sense. What does Orlando in a teardown rebuild want a guy in here who they have to pay real money to next year when they're trying to sell away other veteran players? You're getting rid of Vucevic and Gordon to welcome in Smart? What are we talking about? That's ludicrous. Ludicrous.
Yeah,
you're getting rid of all-star level veterans to swap it out for a bench guy?
You're making it sound like he was.
Wait, so you think the Celtics wanted to offer Smart over Nesmith and whatever?
I think the Celtics, recognizing that they really did have almost nothing anybody wanted, because nobody wants Nesmith or Romeo, and the picks are low. So there's really nothing. The only theoretical tradable asset on this team is Marcus Smart. So you had to make it appear as if Marcus Smart had value. It had value beyond the Celtics. And so I think that name started getting thrown around to see if there was a little buzz to it. It ended up not being the case. I think the reason the Celtics didn't make a trade is because nobody wanted any package that they were offering. Nothing. And that's why they didn't make a trade. Not Danny didn't decide to trade Smart. No way is that what happened. No way.
Right.
I mean, we'll never know. I feel like it's the other way around.
I'm just saying, practically speaking.
I think Bobby gives us
I think if there was
almost like the delusional Celtics fan that thinks like Marcus Smart is a guy that's.
And Danny at the end said, "I will not let him go."
Yeah, and like trading him is like
agent, I understand
trading
that.
Marcus Smart is like the what's that game that I'm what is wrong with me? Jenga, like the Jenga piece that if you pull Marcus Smart out, the entire thing's gonna collapse on you. Like. Again, I understand we all like Marcus Smart for the same reasons, like his intensity, like he, has been here from the beginning. He kind of like, it feels like he appreciates being a Celtic, and all those things are great. But at some point you have to do, if you're Danny Ainge or whatever, you have to do what you think is best for the team, and bringing in players. And it might be that, as good as Marcus Smart is and great of a leader he is and whatnot, it might just be time to,
I felt like it was time. Yeah, I felt like it was time. His value, whether you think it was high or low, it's gonna go lower the closer you get to free agency. There's no doubt about that.
The thing I don't like is just the people who act like Marcus Smart is untouchable because like he's Marcus Smart, not taking into consideration that he just doesn't help you in a lot of other ways. Like in a lot of ways that are the reasons that you're not. Winning. Am I going? Okay, I'm going big screen right now. I've pretty much said most of my point.
Follow Jimmy Toscano. I want everyone to do it.
Yeah, follow me for sure. But what I'm saying is, with Marcus, we all get why he's valuable. The winning plays, the hustle, what it means to be a Celtic. All those things are great. But at some point, you have to say, okay, is he enough?
When to start to decline?
Exactly, and is he enough to take the Celtics where we want the Celtics to be right now? Joe Sway busted. We got him, folks.
I waited to do that to nab you.
Yeah,
you did it on purpose.
And I think there's more. Although there's still people like Bobby, and there's still fans who are like Marcus Smart means way too much. And even though Bobby has seemed to come around at least in some ways, there are a lot of fans.
I'm completely torn.
Are now coming around on it, and still are torn. It's difficult, but I think they all understand that. Like, listen, if you can flip Marcus Smart for a guy that fills a bigger need. And then you can find a guard, in the offseason that, a pass first type guy or a guy that specializes in defense. They are out there. Marcus Smart is a great defendant, a great, defensive player. But in a league where defense is becoming less and less and less important by the game, by the minute. I mean, every game, these games are going 110, 120 points. And if you're one guy, there's only so much really you can do. Right. It'd be great to have a team. Great to have a lineup of 5 guys that just switch and play defense. They don't exist. The best players in the NBA are all offensive-minded players. Again, it's great to be good on defense, but you ask any coach in the NBA, they'll take good offense over good defense any day of the week.
It's like right. Celtics fans are like, that guy, this kid who grew up in Southie or somewhere. It's like, I never been outside of Boston. I never want to be outside of Boston.
No reason to.
There's no reason to leave here. There's a bigger world than Boston, guys. It's not just,
is it Gordon though?
I'm just saying there are players out there, guys.
Again, this isn't.
We're sitting here. Look, let's look at it this way. We're sitting here talking about like the value of Daniel Tyson, Tristan Thompson, and some friggin' dude off the bench grabs 25 boards on them the other day. Like, there's guys out there that do other things. Like in the league here, that's like these aren't the only players here. You can move past them. We don't have to hold on to them so dearly.
But you don't go all the time.
And they're everywhere.
You don't have to panic just because the season's not going your way. I just don't think.
Yeah, that's exactly what you guys didn't want to see at the deadline.
Hold on, Bobby. You still have a year left on that deal. You still have obviously that favorable contract that you can flip. So why not take that into the offseason and see what's going on? I mean, listen, other teams are going to be in different positions than they are right now. Why flip smart right now, shut the whole thing down when they're trying to make a push into the playoffs and see what they can squeeze out of this team? I know it doesn't look great right now, but I just don't think you panic and trade Marcus Smart. Now, for people who ready to see Marcus Smart out the door and, you're looking for other guys to step up here, Peyton Pritchard, he's got, future Celtics point guard written all over him, whether he's a starter or whether he's the first one off the bench. I mean, I just think we can all agree that he has a bright future in that role for the Celtics. So, obviously, I think once upon, sooner or later, whether it's Marcus Smart or whether he stays or whether he's not in Boston in the next 2 or 3 seasons, I think Peyton Pritchard is going to be more than ready to take the reins or take that part and becoming the team lead distributor. But in the meantime, I'm telling you, man, Marcus Smart, whether it's an all-star or someone close to it, you couple it with younger players, draft picks, you put together a package deal to get someone else that's better than Aaron Gordon for sure. No question.
Peyton Pritchard's never going to be any. Peyton Pritchard's fine with what he's doing, but he's not.
I think we're all over the place.
For being a distributor, he's going to be a top distributor for this team for sure. I don't know whether he's a starter or not. I don't know, but he will be.
Josue just summed up like some Celtics fans who like they look at guys and they make them out to be way better than they are. I'm not saying Josue is one of those people, but
you guys are making them way worse to be than you. No one wants Smart around the league, really?
I don't think a losing team does. No,
there are only certain teams that he makes sense for. Yeah, winning teams. He's a guy that if you I think
winning teams don't have the money.
Marcus Smart,
yeah, but everything you guys have said about
Smart is coming off the bench on a good team as like the first guy off the bench, playing multiple like guard positions and giving you a spark, giving you some energy.
I don't think that's true at all.
How is that not true at all?
So listen, you can look back at Smart's whole career in Boston and say the things you guys have said about him. And would you consider Smart's Boston career a failure?
I think Smart has been a really pretty decent role player that we have built up into some legend that is
because
not
of the
real.
Results. It's not about the stats. It's about the results.
He's a pretty good player who does some things that you can't quantify.
Situational.
It's fine.
He'd be coming off the bench. If Gordon Hayward would resign, he'd be coming off the bench.
That's fine. Bench players are
important. I know. It's not like an insult or something. Like, okay, so he's a 6th man or whatever. Like, why is that such a bad thing?
Exactly.
Because
we talk about him like he's the MVP.
He's also
when you're trading 6th man
of the year candidate, right? You guys never mentioned that, right? He's also made 2 of those teams, right?
I think
you guys don't remember that, right? He's also helped the team win plenty of playoff series in the playoffs when it matters most.
He's been huge in the playoffs.
Right? He's just a role player, right? Come on, man.
Of course he is. Josue, there's nothing wrong with him being a bench player or the 6th or 7th best player on your team, but let's call it that. That's it. If he's your 6th or best 7th player in the team, that's the guy that you can live without.
No one's calling him a superstar. No one's calling him an all-star. No one's calling him, you cannot trade. I never said that. No one's ever said that that the Celtics can't ever trade Marcus Smart.
So
we just didn't want to see Aaron Gordon come in return. Like, what's wrong with that? I don't understand.
So, that's the thing. I look at that trade.
Aaron Gordon here? Is Aaron Gordon going to win the game tonight for you? Is that what you like? What are we talking about?
Isn't that how you handle trades? Like, if you have to look at it for like an hour and be like, I don't know, do you trade like your franchise cornerstone defensive player for? Like, It was too hard of a decision. It really was. And I think you're wrong, John.
Cornerstone. What are we talking about?
He was just first team all defense. Does that not matter?
All-star. I'm not saying none of that, okay?
He's a nice little player.
Defensive player. So
it's not even about Smart.
Is everyone a first team all defense overrated because they don't score and they don't shoot well?
That part. Got him, Bobby.
Me, it's not about Smart versus Gordon. Would you do it? It's just like
that was the only deal out there.
Is Rudy Gobert?
Listen, I'm not saying they needed to trade him. I'm not saying they need to trade him at the deadline. I'm just saying be open to the idea that he is an expendable player. Not you, but just everybody.
People, guys. If he were a better caliber player, okay, then you wouldn't be talking about him in trades right now.
First team all defense last year. Giannis.
We understand that. And Derek Jeter won 10 Gold Gloves, and he was the worst shortstop in the league. Okay,
John.
It's a freaking award. It's a designation by media members. It doesn't matter. We've seen him.
You're just talking about Marcus Smart right now because you're salty about what we saw from Fournier, and you're thinking, man, here comes like Marcus Smart has turned into the ultimate scapegoat for every single Celtics loss. Even when he wasn't out there, people were talking about Marcus Smart. Like, I don't get it, man.
I love the fire, and I swear it's great. But honestly, like, if you think I invented my Marcus Smart take tonight watching Evan Fournier, you haven't been listening to me for the last 4 years.
You're using it as like, oh man, the Celtics missed out on a huge trade. Who's the huge trade? You even said it wasn't Aaron Gordon. So what's the alternative?
Not missed out. My grievance is if Smart was really on the table, and if Smart was on the table and we pulled it back, I think it was a mistake. Number two, I don't actually think it was ever on the table. So because the reality is
Aaron Gordon? Who's the mistake?
I think so.
All right, you can watch him rock number 50. We'll see how great he looks for the freaking Nuggets, and I'll get you a jersey. There you go. You can rock that.
I think there's a real case with these bad teams, and the Kings 100% think this, because I know for a fact that when the Kings had a chance to offer him an offer sheet, and then he went on to have a couple really good years and got better for Boston after that, the Kings were kicking themselves because they could have had him for $13 million a year, and they decided not to go in on that. So there is real interest in him around the league.
You're talking about Smart?
Yeah.
So one of the worst.
No one offered him anything in free agency.
One of the worst run franchises in the history of sports is mad about that mistake.
No, but that's why bad teams want him. They think he can create something in those places, and Orlando's one of those teams.
We went through this already, and they basically told him, "Hey, man, go find your deal if you think you've got a better one."
So you don't think that a team who had a guy that was demanding a trade, saying, "I'm done, I'm not playing here anymore," was going to pass up an opportunity to take a guy like Smart who could rev up the young team, be a leader there, stay long-term? He could stay long-term in Orlando. The
reality is Smart and players like him have negative value these days because it's the worst. The worst value in sports is the overpriced middle class.
I know, but what's the value of Gary Harris, who's on a 3-year deal making like $14 million a year? Well, RJ Hampton, who's like, I love him, but he hasn't shown anything yet, and a 2025 pick.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, I don't think it's ludicrous to think that Boston could have had that for Smart. And you can debate it either way, but I think it was there.
I don't think so. But again, that's I guess neither here nor there.
This is a good description of the Marcus Smart debate. A lot of differing opinions, a lot of fires.
Oh, that's been the face of the show for 7 years.
He's a polarizing player. I mean, there's a lot of people on both sides of the fence. My take on Smart is this.
We haven't had one of these in a while.
my take on Smart is this, and I'll leave it at that because I don't want to just keep beating the same horse over and over. If that's the saying, I forget. But I think he gives you a lot of good things, but I also think, there are games where you just want to rip your hair out. And I think we've seen the best of Marcus Smart. He's a great defender. I'll definitely give him that. But I think he sometimes hurts you in a lot more ways than he helps you. And I also think that Celtics fans over the years, it's like the folklore of Marcus Smart has grown to this magnitude where he's
there's been results though.
But those plays exist all over the NBA. Like that's the thing is I don't think he's giving you something that you couldn't get from a number of other players around in the NBA. So if the opportunity is there where you can get an asset back or get somebody else that might help you in another way, then I think you do that.
He's a 230 hitter that makes some diving catches in the outfield and gets his jersey dirty, and fans love him. But that's what it is.
Again, you don't train him for an asset though. You don't train him for if you were selling, you would train him for an asset, but they weren't. They were buying, they were upgrading. Now the question was the upgrade the appropriate choice? Could they have used him to make an even bigger upgrade in Gordon? That's going to be hard to tell for a while here. And again, Gordon has been so far on both sides of things that it really was impossible to tell whether that was a surefire move. My question now is, you have Smart, you have Fournier, Brown, Tatum, Kemba. Is there any ball time for Fournier in that group? Like, that's the question you do have to ask out of tonight, seeing what he did. He's not going to go 0-10 again, obviously, but you do have to ask, is there enough ball time for Fournier to succeed? Because I've seen people describe him as a knockdown shooter and a catch-and-shoot off-ball guy, and I think he can work within the flow of the offense, but he did what he did in Orlando this year through significant ball time. I'd say as much as 35%.
That's a problem here.
That could be a problem.
Yes, that's going to be – that's.
I think that's where the Gordon Hayward comparisons come into play, right? Because obviously he's not that caliber player, or at least, what Hayward was before he came to the Celtics or whatever you fall in that conversation. But that knockdown shot is obviously a big reason why he's here with the Celtics, because I think with Tatum and Brown, you need someone like that. And that's been the biggest hole in that starting lineup. I mean, Marcus Smart just isn't that guy. So you look at other options, and when you look at Fournier, if he's knocking that down, obviously it changes things. But also he has that, like we talked about, what we saw in the first quarter, when he puts the ball on the floor, that dynamic to him, you put him with that second unit, I think it's a good piece to have for the Celtics. It's a solid piece to have. 20 points per game heading into this one. Obviously, we didn't get to see any of that, but that blend of both is the reason why I think he's here for Boston for sure.
Well, I'll say this: he's got to come off the bench. He cannot get lost in the fold with the starters. He's got to be the sixth man. He's got to have time in these games where the ball's in his hands. Because tonight. And again, you could use the excuse that he doesn't know the offense yet. It's his first day here, but he did not get the ball enough by any means. It was just toss out, dumps, a few transition runs with inexcusable misses on his part. I'm not making excuses for him, but he wasn't set up all that well to succeed tonight.
I think 230 hitters a little harsh, but I think I know. I mean, John's been a little harsh. I mean, he's definitely sub 300 hitter if we're talking baseball. He's like a good defensive outfielder. Like he's like Jackie Bradley.
He's
Jr.
like fat Jackie Bradley. Fine.
If Smart's Derek Jeter, the Celtics are in good shape.
That wasn't the comparison, Bobby.
Yeah, I wouldn't say all that.
Keep missing my points, but that's all right.
Yeah, right. No, but that's it on Smart. I guess my thing is just be more open to the possibility of that happening, because I think it's become a lot more possible.
What you look ahead to here, and whether it's going to matter or not, is the thing that Brandon kicked around, and we've been talking about forever, is Bradley Beal. Can he be a piece in that deal that matters? Who knows?
How? Why?
Just as one individual piece. Because if you trade him for Gordon, does Gordon fit into that deal better down the line? Possibly. Just have to, that's one of the things you have to ask.
The idea behind Gordon was, theoretically, you roll him up into something else, or you unlock something in him that you didn't have or you didn't know you had, and then Jaylen becomes the person who you roll into a bigger deal. Not saying that necessarily makes you better. It has to be a great, great deal for you. But the idea would have been, now you have stuff you can play with, and now without it, you don't. And who knows? It might not have worked out. I mean, the returns. Everyone watching him play in Denver after one game was like, see, Orlando wasn't using him right. If you give him chance, you give him this, you give him that, you're going to unlock another. And that was everyone who was saying the same thing for the Celtics, is you can unlock another level to his game that was lying dormant in Orlando in all those years. So you were rolling the dice on a potentially home run type of asset that you could have had kind of fairly cheaply if you're talking about Neesmith, a pick, or Smart. And so you take that shot. You take the shot at the guy who could be a next level player versus, I really like Marcus Smart because he does some things. If that was standing in the way, I think that was a mistake. That's all.
So this is where I do trust Ainge immensely, is this thing where he has a sense around the league from his connections and just how long he's been around the league of what other teams value other guys as. I still think that's a significant reason he passed on Turner. And you see, Like Indiana's been begging teams to take him for a year and a half, and he's still in Indiana. The offers weren't that high for Gordon, and the offers weren't that high for Fournier. So from a Fournier perspective, I think he had pretty strong confidence that he could keep him at a fair price, and that Gordon wasn't going to be that flippable of an option. And ultimately, he goes for a bad first, RJ, and
I know. But the Fournier role on a team that already has 2 max player superstars.
I know, but it's better than Ojale.
Should be filled.
That's all that mattered.
By a guy on a rookie contract, not by somebody who you're going to pay.
Well, that's true. They screwed themselves with bad drafting.
So that's your problem. It's not that Fournier in a vacuum, in a non-salary capped sport, couldn't have potential value on this team. But the problem is you can't be paying these upper middle class dollars to guys who are role players on your team. You just can't do it. The role playing has to be filled by better contracts than that. And again, this is where you're going to run into that problem with Smart theoretically, and with Fournier is paying top dollar for middle class guys, and that'll kill you. You're going to go flying into the tax with a super expensive team that's not a title contender. And so, right, this is where the draft swings and misses absolutely kill you. You shouldn't need Fournier, because you should have Romeo and Nesmith playing the wing and doing this, but you don't, because right now they're useless.
But forget the loss tonight. The Pelicans are a very good team. I know the Celtics really screwed themselves for stretches of this one, but for the last 3 games, doesn't the team look alive? I mean, they really just
Tatum
have
did.
an energy defensively. Everybody seems alert. And even the Luke Cornett stuff, I know it doesn't matter that much, but the way they've utilized him and gotten some good stuff out of that, like that just seems to be energizing this group. And they seem to have a spark out of this deadline that they didn't before. They looked ready to die, like in the weeks leading up to that deadline. I don't know what it is.
Luke Cornett looks like every chess opponent in the Queen's Gambit to me. He just looks like just an average guy.
He's like 7 for 11 now.
Every dude she beat in chess. That's what Luke Cornett looks like.
You think Luke Cornett controls the speakers in the locker room?
If that dude wasn't so tall, no way I'd recognize him in the streets. No
way. He's the most nondescript looking guy.
I'll say this.
He sells insurance.
I would never recognize him.
He threw the best pass Nesmith received all year, and Nesmith nailed a 3 off of it. So maybe that's a missing piece to unlock Nesmith.
Wait, is that the one he made?
Yeah,
he did.
Oh, okay.
That's
Cornett.
What's amazing is that's exactly the type of 3 you would figure he would get 3 or 4 times a game being out there. It's so just the drive and kick corner 3. I'm just stunned. He's not able to get a few of those off every single game. It's so rare when he gets an opportunity like that, and it should happen all the time. Because who's paying attention to him? Nobody.
Yeah, and a lot of.
Go ahead, Bobby.
I said a lot of the Celtics passes are looking downhill too. So I mean, again, Brad said, I don't want to go too far with this because it's 2 games.
Please
but
don't.
Brad said they were looking at Cornett for a long time, and I don't know whether you believe that or not, but you do see short roll defense, 3-point shooting. I mean, these are things he does. There's no way around it.
But then again, it's like, wait a minute, Brad. Well, how many players do you look at for a really long time? Think about it. I'm sure he's got a whole list of guys that he's been thinking, oh, this guy would be perfect here. This guy would be perfect. And
he's looked at everybody in the league for a long time. Yeah, because he's been in the league 8 years.
Half of them, guess what? They're probably not in the league anymore. So you have to take that. You know what I mean?
He was looking at Greg Monroe. We know that.
You have to remember who he's coming from. So this is Brad Stevens, who obviously college background, yada yada yada. He watches these guys all the time, even when he doesn't have to. But I mean,
are you guys excited about
energy? I'm seeing energy from Cornett.
Excited about who? Cornett?
Yeah.
I honestly don't think. I'll be stunned if we're saying his name in a week.
Really?
Yeah.
I think there's a chance he's better than Wagner. Which, again, what's that matter? But still, I didn't expect that coming in. I thought Cornett was out the door, and now he's really impacting 2 games. So
I'm excited for Cornett, like I'm excited when I'm CC'd on an email. It's like I could give me anybody else to talk about on right now.
Well, you're excited,
I mean,
right?
Good on him.
This isn't directly to me, so I don't have to technically respond to this. Is that what you mean by that, Jimmy?
Yeah, exactly. It's just okay, I guess
now,
I'll read this.
What if you flipped out the name Luke Cornett with DeMarcus Cousins, and he did what Cornett did tonight?
I don't think
people would be through the roof.
Guys,
he's fired up. Yeah, now you have my attention. Now you're talking my language. No, I mean, again, listen, it's great that Kornet. It's great.
It's like a bowl of Cheerios. Like
that's all I'm saying. It's great that he can
less
play.
Excited about, like.
Yeah, I think we lost. Yeah.
I didn't like when Brad put him on Zion. I didn't like when Brad put him on Zion. That was taking it a little too far, but.
He pushed his luck a little bit there.
It was like LeBron on Olynyk in the East Finals.
Good on Kornet. I mean, it's another player that Brad can play over Rob, so I'm sure we're going to see plenty of them. Every time Kornet hits a shot, I die a little bit inside because I know that's like one less minute we'll get to see Rob out there. So, it is what it is. Yeah, exactly. We like
again.
Kornet,
they didn't give the Kornet seal of approval, so that's not true.
Okay, so speaking of Zion, I had a question I wanted to ask you guys, and people in the comments can
Jayson Tatum or Zion? Is that your question?
Close. We talked about the tandem of Tatum and Brown being the best young tandem in the NBA before the season started. I think we at least put them up there. Would you rather have Tatum and Brown or Ingram and Zion?
Tatum and Brown. Zion, I'm watching him tonight. So Zion impresses me immensely.
Who's the best player out of the four?
Tatum. And here's why.
Is it Zion?
So Zion, if you watch him tonight, there's those incredible moments. The efficiency at the rim is insane, but he's completely missing the three-point shot right now, which matters, even though he's incredibly efficient at the rim. His playmaking's there, but I'd say it's about even with Tatum's at this point, maybe a little bit better. But the defense, he's dancing around, not quite like Nesmith, but he's a little lost on that end. And the shape, I look at him again tonight, and after his big burst, he has to go take a flying leap on the bench and take a ginormous breather. Physically, he doesn't look right. He needs to lose probably 15 pounds because he carries too much weight. I think it's going to become an injury concern at some point.
He does.
There's just so many red flags.
Bobby, you realize he's in his 65th professional game right now, and he's putting up historic NBA
I know it's
numbers.
impressive, but the red flags are.
I mean,
so you're worried about his health,
and you're right.
His health is your only,
and his defense. They're 25th in defense.
Again, John just said he's in his 60th game. You can't expect him to be this defensive stalwart.
I know, but he's got to be good on that end. At least.
I mean,
is Tatum and Brown light years better than Zion and Ingram defensively?
Yeah,
well, I think Ingram over Brown.
Tatum's a borderline. When he's rolling, he's borderline all defense.
I take Ingram over Brown.
If it's Ingram over Brown, it's also Zion over Tatum. So I don't know how we're having this conversation.
Brown was an all-star this year. Ingram wasn't.
60 plus games, man. Tatum's got. He's been around a little longer. You got more.
And make the playoffs, Pelicans. Let's see
make
it.
the playoffs.
It's not about. Guys. Again, Zion. This is Zion's first year. He's putting up historic numbers. He's a 20-point, 50%.
All right,
plus,
you guys go root for the Pelicans. That'll be fun.
It's
very easy.
Bobby can't have these conversations without getting emotional.
Bobby's triggered.
They're 21 and 25. They're 21 and 25, and they're better than Tatum and Brown. Why? Because they won this
Celtics
game?
aren't much. Hey, newsflash, bud. The Celtics record isn't much better. I don't know if you've watched this year.
Think Zion
I know, but we're talking about years of success.
He's almost in that.
We're talking about who would you rather have it. Who would you rather have the next 10 years?
Just fair enough, but right now, if you were projecting, look again. I would say
projecting. Oh yeah, I put Zion on.
If you're talking about if they played today, I don't think there's a GM out there that's taking Tatum over Zion if they had a choice between the two. I don't think so.
He might not have a star after 7 years. We don't know. We have no idea.
It's a projection question. You're projecting.
We don't think.
To Bobby's point, the health is a huge part of that projection.
Bobby projected negative. Yeah, you guys are projecting using the flags. Other people might be projecting looking at the potential. It's a fair combo.
Well, you do have to consider the situation too. And I know Boston's situation isn't amazing, but at this point, New Orleans has committed money to Steven Adams, Eric Bledsoe.
No, stop. You're thinking too much about this.
I know, but that's why you. That's why you guys are limiting the Tatum and Brown potential, because you don't think they have enough around them anymore, and this situation isn't going to be great with them here. If they had if we're talking who would do better with Horford, Irving, Hayward, all that stuff we've seen around them.
We're literally saying that like every player wasn't playing for any team at all, and they're just sitting there in the middle of a circle, and you get to pick two. Which two are you picking?
Fantasy basketball, okay?
That's it. It's
no history.
You're not worried about. There's no Steven Adams in Jimmy's hypothetical question. We're taking it too far. Which two players are you taking? That's it. Just all two.
Right, in that case, it's Tatum over Zion, but Ingram over Brown, probably.
You think so? That's funny because I have it the other way. I think I take Brown over Ingram.
But you don't have that option. You don't have that option. They're coming to package deal. So which one is it?
I'm taking the Celtics, guys. I just think they've proven it to me.
But you wouldn't be you if you didn't take him, so I'm glad.
Yeah, right.
It's all right, buddy.
I wanted you to say it.
Disappointing. That's okay. It's all right.
I think Zion's been anointed a little too early.
I think we're actually underrating him, believe it or not. And I agree with all of your flags. I think he should be 30 plus or 40 pounds lighter. Like, if he's 280, he should be about 235 or 2. He could lose 50 pounds.
I needed it.
That's too skinny.
Yeah, no, that's why
he needs that weight, I think.
Remember what happened to Perk between like years 2 and 3, and he came back lean and strong. Like Zion, if he got on a real regimen and a real offseason and a real diet, and he shed 30 pounds, he would be ridiculous.
Wasn't New Orleans was not a great place diet-wise.
You know what, John? He probably will. I mean, once you get in that NBA, you get on that schedule and you get in the facilities and you get on a diet and everything like that, I'm sure he'll tone up some. Definitely.
New Orleans, that's a tough eating city to fall in.
True. That's a good point.
That is
tough. New Orleans, man. No one's in shape down there, man.
Everyone said that when they were talking about his weight issues.
I got family there too. Sorry, guys.
When they were talking about his weight issues coming into the league, they were like, New Orleans, like gumbo, fried whatever. It's not gonna be good. Yeah.
Legit.
Now again, I'm actually somewhere in between with Jimmy there. I do think the size does benefit him to some degree, but there is a cost benefit there. Like the Charles Barkley comparison with him is actually pretty valid. Like Barkley just overpowered. He was bigger, but that played in the overpowering nature of his game. Shaq too. Like he was too big, but that's what made him dominant. He's got to find that middle ground somehow where he can be great for 40 minutes in a playoff series, because you can just imagine the Embiid thing happen to him right now. Like, would he be able to go 40, 42 minutes in a must-win playoff game?
He has to lose weight.
Yeah. Like, there's no way that's happening right now. And look at Embiid. It took Embiid so long to get there.
Yeah, till this year.
Yeah.
And then he got hurt anyway.
I see more of like a young Sean Kemp almost, right? More than Barkley. I don't know. I didn't see a whole lot of Barkley. Well, I guess I didn't see a whole lot of Kemp until he was
I don't want to diminish Zion's potential, because what's he shoot, like 68 at the basket as a wing? Like, that's just unreal.
He's the best scorer in the paint in the NBA, and it's his,
it's like LeBron.
60th game.
It's 20 points a game just in the paint.
Yeah, it's really like LeBron. He gets to the free throw line at will. I think he's top 5 in drawing free throws.
And the finesse and the hands and the coordination and the playmaking. Like, it's amazing. You're right. Like, it would be frustrating and a total bust if he doesn't find a way to get, shave that down and stay healthy, because he could do so many different things. And he might be an NBA outlier in this era where he'll never, ever, ever shoot threes and still be one of the most dominant players in the league.
Yeah, it's like an old school type guy that Bobby hates. He trashes the old school game every chance he gets. That's probably why he doesn't like Zion. He wants to see Zion step back and take 10 threes a game.
I'd like to take one again. I want to see also Tristan Thompson take one a game. And who else did I want it from? Rob. Yeah, Rob's got to get out there too. Everybody's got to get out there a little bit.
Shoot. You don't think they're going to start making him shoot?
I think he'll slowly expand his game.
It doesn't matter. What's amazing,
it really doesn't. Yeah, right now
he eats up space like crazy. If you play off him, dare him to shoot, he starts coming at you anyway. It doesn't make a difference at all.
Those plays are so amazing.
He takes the space away from you. It's unbelievable. Like,
he doesn't care if he gets blocked either. Like,
guys
he's not
play
worried
off
about
him
his
like
percentages.
crazy. Yeah,
inside outside game they've got.
He'll go in there, get blocked, grab the ball again and put it right back up. Like he just doesn't. He's gonna go downhill every single time. And that's refreshing. Like if the Celtics could really use a little bit of that. Like they don't have anything like that.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe they'll.
They could use a Zion Williamson type.
yeah, they could use somebody like that.
Like, no
sure.
shit. Yeah, of course they could.
Why'd they go after Fournier instead of Zion?
Right. So
they take Smart.
And the other thing about Zion, I like it. He's got a good.
That I would love to see Celtics trade for. Yeah, trade Smart for Zion.
I think he's got that LeBron tendency of like, he doesn't seem like the type of guy that's going to get into a lot of trouble.
Was Zion the Kings pick year? It had to be, right? That was just.
From the
that pick that pick did not pan out for Boston.
Kings pick, Memphis pick. Those are just disasters. Let me ask you this question off the Zion topic. What's going on with Grant Williams' minutes these days?
It was just a Zion thing tonight. They didn't want to put Fournier on him.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Brown's out, Ojeley's out. I'm not doing that tonight. It was just a situational thing.
Yeah,
he's stuck in what I call a Brad Stevens purgatory. Like you can't call it. It doesn't know if we're gonna go up.
Purgatory is the best place he's gonna be in, I think. I mean, at this point, he's getting 20 minutes a game in March, Bobby. It's not like this was a one-off.
But Brown was out. How much is he gonna play?
Averaging 20 minutes.
Fournier's here. Tatum, Brown, Smart. He's not gonna play at all if all those guys are in. Unless there's a matchup.
I think he's important.
Play.
Yeah, I think he's going to play. I honestly think he's important.
Keep playing.
Like that energy on defense he's been doing, or just the threat from outside. I mean,
I'd like to see him back at center.
It's like you have to knock down those open looks. You're going to keep getting them. He's going to keep trotting you out there and seeing if you can knock him down.
Now, I would like to see him back at center. Yeah, because you'll have lineups where it's Fournier, Tatum, Brown, and Kemba. And you'll get your Rob minutes in there, but when Rob goes to the bench, you can go ultra small, switchable, and do what they did in February last year, where Grant was in the middle doing a good job. They even did this against the Heat to a decent degree, despite the size deficiencies of it. They got good minutes out of Grant at center last year. And I think that's been a big reason he struggled this year is he's had to play on the wing, and guys have gone right around him.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that's when
he has no real position.
I think he had like one game in that series, but that's when he got exposed against the Heat. I feel like it was just a tough matchup in that series. But
again, would you rather have him out on wings or inside, trying to prevent guys from overpowering him?
The thing you said earlier, Bobby, is actually the only time I want to see him is small ball 5.
Yeah,
that's literally the only time I want to see him out there because of the threat of shooting. And that's it. I never want to see him. I hate him at the 4 when we're.
This is the story of the 2021 Celtics. We complain about whoever plays because there's no what were they gonna do? Play Edwards tonight? Yeah, the only other option tonight was Carson Edwards for minutes or Neesmith playing 20.
No, it's just when he started on Zion. That's the thing. It's you're like, wait, what? And then you're like, well, who else? It's almost more of like this great dilemma.
They can't escape him.
Rather than it is an indictment necessarily on Grant. You looked around you looked down the bench and you're like, yeah, shit. I guess it's got to be Grant.
Never at the 4, man. He's the only one at the 4, really, after Tatum.
It's like that Alonzo Mourning tweet where he's
not even on the bench.
I guess so.
Did you guys see? Did you guys see where he did?
That's one of my favorite tweets ever.
Did you see him try to jab step and go around Josh Hart early in the game? And Hart was just running the other way like a second later for the layup with the steal. I was like, all right, Grant, shoot your shot.
Yeah. No.
Hey, he tries. He tries hard.
Yeah. Well, who we got on Wednesday?
It is.
Hey, how about this? We didn't talk about this. Fans, did that have any effect at all? I guess not, right? I mean,
I like the bullshit chant was nice or something. Some kind of curse where they had the chant going. I'm like, oh man.
Oh, Mavericks on Wednesday, great.
A little bit.
From Zion to Luka.
Perfect.
We'll have the same debate.
I don't know. It's probably good to have some fans back, I guess. I don't know if anyone in the comment section was at the game. Probably not, but
don't worry. Friday come the Rockets, so let's see if they can.
We going any games or what? I thought maybe
what?
Joe Sway or Bobby would have been there tonight.
Nah. John saw this coming. Like, nah.
Yeah, we're back. We're back at the Garden later this week. But yeah, we'll be there.
We made it through a show without a Rob segment.
Later. Someone's asking about the sponsor. Reason I don't want to tell you guys about the sponsor is I'm not just teasing everybody. I don't want you guys to go sign up for it until we're on the clock. So we're going to tell you about it when it's time, and then we're going to need your support. But I do promise something's coming. It's going to be fun, and it involves you guys as well. So we will tell you about the sponsor. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Just quick once around, guys, final thoughts here before we wrap it. And once again, just tell everybody who's watching, subscribe to our YouTube channels. You get notified when we go live. Sign up for notifications. Tell all your friends about it. Post game show after every game. We will soon be moving the Garden Report to daily to take us through the rest of the season. It may coincide with our new sponsor, which is starting next week, and get us through the rest of the season and however far into the playoffs we go. And then we'll keep coming at you during the offseason as well. But guys,
get to use a first round pick again. Woo!
First round pick, guys. Final thoughts here. Oh, and also lots of guests and more characters coming onto the show as we get closer to the playoffs as well. Josue, what do you got?
So listen, Celtics fans, I know today was disappointing, but Zion and that dynamic duo the Celtics ran into, I don't think it's necessarily going to happen against Dallas. This one against Luka, look, if the Celtics keep this defensive energy that they've been doing, I think they'll be in good shape. I don't know if the younger guys have been pushing. We talked about this last game. Like maybe it's just seeing new faces that energize that second unit, because I'm seeing a difference for sure, and I think it's going to resonate in the next one, especially with Evan Fournier. I'm sure he's going to make a shot, his first points as a Celtic, and it's going to be tough. But it's not going to be. I'm not going to sit here and guarantee a win or say the Celtics have a great chance of topping the Mavericks, because if they get going from deep, forget it. It's going to be a long night. So I think the Celtics have to continue with that energy just to have a shot to keep up with the Dallas Mavericks. Because again, whether it's Luka, whether it's the other shooters that they have out there, Tim Hardaway Jr., they have a handful of guys that can really get going quickly. And the Celtics, unfortunately, we're picking names here and there, game after game. We're not quite sure who's going to come through consistently from that second unit. But I'm going to say if the Celtics continue to play defense the way they've been playing, they'll give themselves a shot. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough, actually, even if it's at the TD Garden. So,
yep. Jimmy?
Yeah, so my couple thoughts. One, Fournier, hot start, bud. Welcome to Boston. You're lucky that I wasn't a full arena tonight. It's the beauty of it. Get back out there on Wednesday and try to make that first bucket. Secondly, I got a little, I guess, kind of connected to Fournier, since Tice technically had to be traded because Fournier put them over the cap. I got into a
he just touched something.
There goes Jimmy.
Jimmy, did you touch something?
He's just talking away.
Mute or something. You went like that.
Yeah, he's gone.
Okay. Big points coming up.
He set it all up too and said everything.
I know it was a good setup. Now that's a hard tease. I can't wait. Nobody go anywhere. We're gonna get back to Jimmy. Bobby, give me yours.
Well, I was looking for Daniel Tice, but he didn't play tonight for the Bulls. I'm not taking too much from this one. I like the energy. I thought it was one of those smart screw-up games, but we've seen those before, and he'll probably have some good ones in the coming stretch here. My take is about the doomsday scenarios about this team. Like the Fournier trade makes sure they're done for the future and they could potentially lose them down the road. I guess it's all true, but I still look at this season and say there was a real cost to not doing anything. So this still gives them what we've seen, the emotional lift of having a new fresh face in the room, and the front office investing in them rather than pulling away from them. Rob looks inspired. Peyton Pritchard has had his best week since he injured his knee. So some things have gone in the right direction. The next thing to happen is for Fournier to get involved in this offense and start thriving for them. So I still think this team, I said that if they could win 6 out of the 7 in this homestand.
You had an 8-game win streak, Bobby, going. But
he had 14 games.
Either 8-game win streak or 6 out of 7 on this 7-game stretch here. They can cement themselves as a playoff team. I still think that's possible here. But it's a tough stretch. Dallas, You're going to see New York on this stretch, Philly. So they got to close these games, fourth quarters. They got to cement the leads late.
Jimmy, what do you got?
What's the last thing you guys heard?
Something. You set up your Daniel Tice point, and I was going back and forth with somebody, and then nothing.
So Fournier, Tice had to be booted because of Fournier's sins.
Oh, Tice did play tonight, 6 points.
He's still playing. They're still going. Yeah.
Right. So I was in a conversation with the self-proclaimed #1 Daniel Tice fan. And sure enough, I clicked on he had a Daniel Tice tribute. Go on YouTube. It's Fongos on Twitter. Fongos had a nice little Daniel Tice tribute, which I got a couple of laughs at. This guy really is the biggest Daniel Tice fan in the world. I don't know what else to say about it. I didn't know there was somebody like that, but credit to him. It's actually a good YouTube follow, so go check out that video. But yeah, other than that, the Celtics just they'll just continue to lose, I guess. So that's what I have to say about that.
They're probably going to lose.
Mine is on the sunnier side when it comes to the effort. I actually liked elements of it, and I liked the way Tatum played tonight. But the frustrating part is, again, just the lack of talent on the team prevents them from being able to
Brown was out. Come on.
Exactly. You lose one. You're short one guy, and and you lose. They were out. I'm not comparing Brown to Lonzo, but Lonzo's out. Pelicans are missing a starter. The Celtics miss one guy. They've lost their last 6 games when Kemba wasn't playing, and Kemba hasn't even been playing lights out lately. But they can't sustain it. They're so thin for professional basketball players that we sit here and we talk about, why did Grant play so much? And we can answer our own question, because the answer is because there's nobody freaking else to play. And these conversations are depressing and frustrating, because again, you're almost it's that whole trade deadline thing. Fix it. Can't fix it. There's nothing to trade. You're don't play that guy, Brad. Okay, who the hell else are you going to play? And it's just this shitty cycle that we're in.
If Fournier had 7 points tonight, they would have won. I think they're going in a good direction.
But I actually didn't mind it. It's fun to make fun of. But he's fine. He's an upgrade. He's a professional basketball player. It's going to make a difference. This was just,
comical start.
I wonder what he said.
What
Brad said about it.
He'll get involved, but you're right. From a mentality standpoint, they have to learn to play a little differently. You got to, and again, you're bringing in another guy who had a high usage rate and a guy who needs the ball in his hands to get things going. And now you're going to you're going to put him on the court. As you said, Bobby, he might have to play with the second team, because what are you going to do? Just have him sit there and watch Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Kemba Walker dribble? It's just not the best use of his talents. And it is almost kind of like a Gordon Hayward situation where it's I got to reinvent myself on the fly if I'm going to be playing with these guys, because I can't do what I normally like to do. So it makes sense. It makes sense. If he plays second unit. Initially, I wanted to see him start into that kind of 3-wing lineup. I don't think that's even after one game tonight. I totally agree with you, Bob. He's probably got to play second unit in order to maximize his skill set. But
Brad Stevens says he has no doubt Evan Fournier will score a lot of points for the Celtics.
Yeah.
No doubt he will score.
Yeah.
They're coming.
It is funny. I get accused of being drunk on this thread. I literally haven't had a drop of booze in 4 months.
That's exactly what somebody would say when they're drunk.
You see me, I'm drinking coffee. It's not to sober up here.
I haven't.
He's finally facing the accusations.
I was like, wait, someone's like, John's tipsy as F. I'm like, no, man. Can't do it. I can't. I've no bounce back ability anymore.
That was the old show.
I don't know.
I just think it's funny that they think you just sitting there just boozing this whole time.
Oh my God. I got to get up, man. I'm going to have kids crawling all over me in 6 hours. You can't drink about that.
Not only that, but imagine if you're boozing it up for an hour and a half. By the end of this show, as a host, that would be impressive, John. That'd be really impressive.
First of all, we've seen what it looks like when people drink on this show. This isn't it, okay?
Oh.
Hey, don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. I'll go. What do we got? A game Friday?
That was an all-timer. What game was that? The Lakers game? That was a big one too. That he just came
Saturday
stumbling in here.
Dude, I'll go back and watch that. I watched that whole video back. I dominated that show. I dominated every point on that show. So What can you do?
Jimmy pulled that back like 4 times. He always watches it.
That's a classic.
Yeah. How about this? I will have a drink for every 3-pointer Neesmith hits next game. Okay. and I'll be just as sober as I am now.
Yeah, right.
Wait till the playoffs. That should be fun.
Right.
John dropping 2 gummies at a time. Yeah, that would happen. It could be.
It would just be sinking lower and lower as the show kept going.
You got to be careful with those things when you have kids, man. You can't just leave your gummies out.
They'll just think it's candy.
You can't do it.
This is nap time.
Yeah, cannot leave your gummies laying around. All right, so that's it. We're back on Wednesday. And
Luka time.
Who knows? Right, Luka time. That's always fun.
Don't forget, Luka drained the game winner against the Celtics earlier this year.
Over Neesmith.
You're right, over Neesmith.
Over
Shouldn't have
Neesmith.
even been in the damn game at that time.
Neesmith.
This is what we get for John was saying, play Neesmith, and this is what we get.
Yep. Maybe Romeo. Hey, does Romeo get his first active? He's active. Maybe.
No.
Romeo will be active, and then
but he won't play.
Romeo's
How
going
about
to play.
Tristan Thompson?
Romeo's going to play 6 of the most useless minutes of all time, and the whole show is just going to be you guys barking at me about it.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think Thompson's just gone. He's like out in Cali. He's just been.
What do you guys think? There's something going on here, right?
Or something. He's with the Kardashians. Just like, yo.
It's been 3 weeks. It's been more than 3 weeks, right? Yeah, I mean, there might be. All we can do is speculate, but there might be something going on there. Who knows?
Yeah,
I mean, he's still tweeting. He's tweeting like, "Let's go, JT." Tweeted tonight. So he's still following. He's still watching the games. I guess. I mean, it sounds like he's into it. I don't know. What do you think? You think he's being punished, or you think he's like?
I would have thought he was.
Again, how does this work?
Brad's taking his minutes. He's using his minutes for somewhere else.
It's a 2-week quarantine, like 10 days. When we're way past that, and even if he was still testing positive, that's not part because you can still test positive and be clear of the window. So the fact that he's still in it 3 weeks later really doesn't make much sense. And it's not like we saw him shooting with Romeo or doing anything or even in the building tonight. So
yeah,
it's
and I hope the guy's
strange.
okay. I'm not gonna pretend to know what the hell's going on. But
Yeah, I would have thought it was a conspiracy theory if Brad didn't rush to his defense and say that the rumors weren't true, and Jalen talking about capping, whatever the hell that is.
Capping. That is a way to use it.
I did that just to make you giggle, Josue.
You use it as a verb. That was pretty good.
John's capping every night.
I like to play the boomer. I like to play up the stereotype.
Well, back in the day, capping meant a whole nother thing, right, John? So it's crazy how times have changed.
So that's it, guys. We're about 90 minutes. That's about as much as we need. So thank you guys for hanging out. Again, subscribe to our YouTube channels. Come hang out with us after every game. We got a ton of them coming up, so we'll be here on Wednesday.
Keep coming, man.
Keep it coming.